Right, so I just want to talk about the end of How I Met Your Mother, because it's one of the most disappointing ends to a TV show ever. And I haven't seen Lost, so I feel free to say that. The show is pretty boring as sitcoms go, but it did have an interesting format in the kind of the time jumping, because the story is told through Ted's perspective. He's telling the story to his kids. So you have jumping backwards and forwards in time as he misremembers things or talks about things that he's going to talk about later. So the whole show pretends to be about how Ted came to meet the woman who would become his wife and the mother of the children he is telling the story to. But it's not really about that. It's about Ted becoming who he needed to be to meet her. It's about his whole life before that, and how everything had to fall into place for him to be in the right place at the right time. So for 8 years, the show was telling the audience that the mother was just around the corner and we were going to meet her any moment, and it was going to reveal how they lived happily ever after together. But that's not what the writers had in mind. They, spoiler alert, knew that the mother was going to die. A lot of people get upset that the mother died at the end of How I Met Your Mother. That doesn't bother me at all. That's a perfectly valid plot point. I think it's quite good. But the delivery completely let it down. And that's what I have a problem with. And I'm going to break down why and how it could be better. So you have 8 years of Ted saying, I was going to meet her. I'm going to meet her. She's round the corner. 8 years of build-up to meeting the mother and the happy ending that Ted finally deserves. We go on this journey with him. 8 years of waiting to meet the girl of his dreams. And because we've been invested in his life for 8 years, we really care that he gets the happy ending. We need him to find her as an audience. That's what you want. But the writers weren't trying to tell that story. They pretended they were, but they weren't. They wanted us to see that Robin is perfect for Ted, and when the mother dies, he ends up with her. They build up the Robin and Ted relationship, and they trick us by pretending it's a red herring. And it's not a red herring. That is the main story of the show. And the kids call it out at the end. The main story of How I Met Your Mother is how Ted was able to spend the rest of his life with Robin. Ted meets the mother in the end, and they live together for a few happy years, but she gets ill and dies, and he ends up with Robin. I like that storyline. There's nothing wrong with that. But the ending just feels rushed. Season 9. It takes place in one weekend of Robin and Barney getting married. They have their ups and downs. Robin and Barney are convincing themselves that they are right for each other, and the show is trying to let us know that they're not. But I think they did it too subtly. You have moments you end up convinced that Robin and Barney are perfect for each other, and then, after they've spent an entire season on 2 days, they take 10 years and compress that into 2 episodes. I think they should have done that the complete other way around. My rewrite of How I Met Your Mother is quite simple. You get rid of some episodes from season 7 and 8 and compress 7 and 8 into one season, season 7. The new season 8 is the old season 9, Barney and Robin's wedding. They get married, they have their ups and downs, and you intercut that with Ted finally meeting the mother, and they have a bit of their relationship in flash forwards. At the end of this new season 8, you show Ted meeting the mother and reveal that she died. And then it says, How I Met Your Mother will return in season 9. But then people look at that and think, how can it return? They've shown Ted meet the mother, and they've shown her die. What's left? And what's left is the whole relationship that the show promised us, but never actually gave us. You spend the last season going through the years that they were married. You give the show time to breathe, time for Ted to get to know her, time for us to get to know her, and let their relationship blossom. But that does have a problem. Why would Ted be telling his kids the story of him raising his kids? They were there. They know how they were raised. They know the story from that point on. Well, this is where it gets interesting, because you could open season 9 with the start of a brand new conversation. He's finished his story. Now they just want to talk about their mum, because they miss her. It's a conversation they might have. It could go through their favourite stories from their childhood, which means you could have episodes of How I Met Your Mother told from the perspective of the kids. It would be a great way to expand on that storytelling format that made the show unique. You could have episodes where Ted is debating how things happened with the kids, and you get the story from all 3 perspectives. For a show that's all about Ted, who is obsessed with this idea of having a family, to have episodes where he's talking to his kids and they're telling their favourite stories from their past and he's talking to them about it, it would be the happy ending that Ted needs. He's got his family and we get to see it. I think the slight twist for the format would have been fantastic, and it would have been a really nice way to bring it to a natural end. You could see that Ted's got lonely again without the mum. Give time for that to settle, and show that the kids are absolutely fine with him going back to Robin. And you could end in exactly the same way. You'd get all the same emotions, just without the crazy roller coaster that the last 2 episodes were. You don't need that. The show is better than that. So that is my 2 cents worth of how I would have fixed How I Met Your Mother. Alright, thanks for watching. If you did, I'm Joe. I make videos not very often at all, and I can't promise I'll make any more, so don't really subscribe. They set up that Robin can't have kids, so Ted meets the mum, has kids, the mum dies, gets with Robin. That's awful.